Hello, and good afternoon. So, feels like a pretty decent time for a little bit more Vagrant story here. So, starting off exactly where we were before. Let me know if the audio's coming through properly, because here's the thing. On my end, I can hear absolutely frickin' jack. Like, there's barely a whisper coming through, but apparently this is coming through as standard volume on the other end. So, if somebody, basically just as soon as somebody lets me know, I will go ahead and adjustment. Go ahead and adjustment. Interesting. But I'll go ahead and adjust as soon as I know. Let's see, any methods here, or any mentions here? No. Alright, so let's get this crap going. So it's getting eaten by bats, as do. So now, I won't be able to get any combos on these things, obviously, because all strong and crap. So a nice thing, like one thing that's very, very neat and handy and convenient. Pretty much all of your different combos and whatever else, they all just carry over between weapons. There's not really any weapon-specific combos. The only weapon-specific stuff are all of your break arts, which have been improved, but they haven't been changed or removed, to my knowledge. So, yeah, well, I believe there were like 3 or 4 folks that were interested in seeing where this all went and what was new, so I'll go ahead and let health recover in that meantime here. Go ahead and make use of this, which is just very useful. I see that he's changed the menus a little bit too. So normally what this ends up showing, if you end up going here, hang on, let me bring it up here. If you end up going to this, normally it tells you like over here would be, I think it was like attack, it was just ATT, over here was REC, here I think it was rec/buff or something, and then enchanter was another stuff. But either way, so it seems like he's cleaned up the menu a little bit. He did mention that as one of the nice little dealies he was adding in, so that's a plus. Now, I want to be working on my crossbow. Now, where's my crossbow? So that shield is friggin' adorable. I mean, that's just... It's like, I'm gonna go ahead and block a mosquito with this. So a pelta, interestingly enough, from the pictures that I've seen, is actually a fair bit larger than that. It's actually more of like, I would say more like a heater shield size, a little bit bigger than that. Got like a little eye slit thing in there, so it's a little bit different. Again, that's kind of one of Mitsuno's things. He always seems to love messing with stuff that, I guess, he likes just changing stuff for the hell of it. Like, probably one of the better examples is when he seems to have this weird thing about the Guisarm. So it's like this weird-looking halberd type situation, like halberd spear type thing. And for whatever reason, he's just extraordinarily into turning that thing into an axe. Everything he's ever touched, that thing is an axe for some reason. Who knows? I sure as hell don't. Now, I don't remember if targeting these boxes actually gives you anything, but since I'm still waiting for somebody to tell me if all of the audio is completely jacked, or if you can't hear anything, or if you hear too much, or if there's some horrible screeching sound, I don't frickin' know, but either way, I'm still waiting to find out, and I'm meandering about. Can't really go up there anymore, so I guess fine, we'll go to this room. Oh, right. I just opened the door, didn't actually walk through it. Right, shoot baddie. That was a bit too fast. Hopefully one of these, a little bit too slow. Dang it, I'm used to my Vita. I know, that sounds like an excuse, but it's weird. Like, the buttons on the Vita are just slightly different. Like, just the fact that they don't stick out as much and they're kind of tiny. It's a completely different adjustment period for all of that. And hard to explain. But I'm very glad to have... There we are. Actually timed that one properly. But I'm very glad to have started with heal. What can I say? Got very lucky on this one. Like, I think it was maybe 3 or 4 bosses in my original playthrough of it that, that it took to get heal. I was going and just surviving on items and just pretty much rampaging with combos. That's what started the whole crossbow thing, because I was like, I need as much range as possible. Okay, so if you miss your first one, you're basically just boned from there. You're not going to end up hitting anything else. I mean, there's potential for hitting. This is why I love crossbows. Alright, just focusing on timing. It's not quite muscle memory on this one yet. Are we gonna get on? Let's see. Are we gonna get a basic spear from this guy? I know he's dropped one for me before. You gonna drop a spear for me? No. So yeah, there's a little bit of random droppiness, just like there is for souls. All of your crazy amazing stuff is pretty much gonna be guaranteed. Or at least there's gonna be a good chance of it. Ooh, hello box. I forgot about you. Oh wait, this is the one that is just an item box. Alright. There's nothing in it at the moment. Yeah, that's why I thought the other one was an item box. Doipy doipy doip. As you do. Go ahead and save it right here. It's so convenient. So convenient starting with that heal. It's gonna completely change the entire run. So yeah, I am planning to do an entire run of this thing because I want to see everything that's changed, or at least as far as possible. I believe if he's released the demo, that probably means it's actually beatable. Again, in the past, the whole reason that I recall for it not being released just yet was because apparently some end parts were inaccessible or something. So I think that's a pretty safe assumption. Anyway, this is the door from before. Interesting thing is it's actually way easier to pathfind when you're going and actually just looking at it for yourself. Anytime that I tried following along on a video or recording or stream or whatever else of this thing, it was always a little bit hard to see, but either way. Meal sigil turned to dust. Dang it! Like that dust, make it into tea. Get all relaxed. That guy's a little bit dead. Or not quite as dead. Are you gonna be a zombie? Well, I mean, he didn't really need anyone to stop it for him, but he's the introduction to zombies. And yeah, so his soul leaves and runs away, because souls running away is a thing that's established in FFT. And now he's a zombie! And thankfully, since this isn't Ogre, I think Lamond is a little bit jacked up there, buddy. Interestingly, you can't actually leech health from these guys, despite the fact that they're a zombie. I come to think of it, I need to remind Rakes to see about putting a kill move like that in like leeching kill move into One Vision, because there's already so many other references to Vagrant story, like the Rude Inverse and stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of items that are references to it. Ooh, bronze, yeah. No, I'm still completely unclear as to what the different weapon classes are. Apparently, Knightly is supposed to be really good. Knightly and Haganai are supposed to be very good, but... Now, the add numbness adds poison. So each time you level up, you basically get to pick a couple of abilities. So, let's see, for a defense ability... These ones I almost never use, so I'm not even gonna bother. Honestly, I know it's not perfect, I know it's not ideal, but I always like going for a generalist build, and then just being as cheap as possible. So gain magic, that one's really good. Mind Assault reduces MP, that could potentially cripple some bosses. Numbing Claw and Poison. I'm gonna say Mind Assault. Just because that potentially could absolutely ruin some bosses. Like, mages in this game are frickin' crazy strong whenever they do stuff. Also, I forgot to check, actually, over here on this. How much is heal now? Heal is 10. That used to be 5. Okay. So, I would assume heal is more expensive, but presumably other stuff is a little bit cheaper. Dude, there's that. If you missed it before, if you're wondering about that little thing on the bottom left, the little dude, basically your limbs and stuff can get busted up. So if your legs get broken, you lose any buffs to your legs, and you also end up pretty much bottoming out agility. If your torso gets broken, Then you have the same thing for strength. Head goes for intelligence, and then if your arms get busted, you end up losing all of your weapon power for that particular thing. I believe left arm just lowers your defense. And or lowers two-hander power. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly, but something like that. So in time, I'm hoping to pick up Instill. So as soon as Instill is available as a chain ability, I'm gonna pick that up. Like, it's kind of like a perk system in this one. I don't know if it's randomized to any degree. I believe it's just you reach the bottom ones and then you're able to move on from there. Not focusing on anything in particular here. Why are we lagging? Seems like there's just certain effects that cause the lag. That guy's gone. Right, cure root. Fantastic. So his right arm's exposed. Hang on, it's temper that I have on this thing, don't I? I think I have temper. Yeah, temper repairs your weapon by using it. It's kind of backwards, but whatever. There's some abilities that, for example, will add to your chain for how much damage you've taken, or how much you've given, or just different kind of elemental stuff if you want it. They're basically whatever you want. It's in there somewhere. One of the reasons that this one constantly shows up as that list of hidden gems, you know. I'm just gonna chain my square attack here a couple times and just leave it at that. Oh, what? Yeah, so it seems like the penalty for broken limbs is way higher now. So yeah, if a limb is broken on a unit, they end up taking a crap ton more damage, like right there, where she ended up taking 40 when she was taking 17. I want to say before it added like 10, 15 or so. Nothing up here. Hoppity hoppity hop. Here comes Peter Cottontail, hopping down the bunny trail. Yeah, that stuck in my head a few Easters ago. Doge go bye-bye. Bye-bye, Doge. Smash circle. Receive shoots. Alright. Yeah, without your weapon, you can climb things a little bit better, you can move a little bit faster, but you also take more damage if you get assaulted. Nobody wants to wind up salty in that situation. Anything worth exploring here? Hello, inverse controls that don't actually make any sense. Alright. There. Just move right the hell along. Hello, probably a boss fight. Drop a save state right there so we don't have to repeat it 40 trillion times. But I got to generate... Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I'm not going to remember about the boss fights. There's so many. Hey, it's Earthworm Gem. I was gonna hope that this guy's Earthworm Gem. First off, I need to use that Grimoire from earlier. So, the debilitating one. Right here, degenerate, temporary decreases strength. Again, one of the most useful anti-boss abilities in the game, but pretty much got it right off the bat, so I'm gonna take that. And get within range. Okay, once he does degenerate on this guy, I'll pretty much just be able to wallop him down to nothing. Yes! Oh, I thought he potentially got an ability there. He goes 82. Good to know. Alright, there we go. So we're just going to active heal here. This is why I always like having this for boss fights. Oh, he can drain me too. Fine. No, wrong ability. First off, what abilities do I even have for defense? Ward... Okay, that's for status. So square for status. Everything else is physical. This is a minor heal. Yeah, he's just gonna keep doing this, it seems. I want to say this guy was way more physical than the other one. Or in the original. So my guard does nothing against that. So the power attack is a little bit faster. I just alternate these two. Although I think all the crossbow ones are the same. Okay, never mind, that's a death. So let's pretend that didn't happen. But yeah, no, I just messed that up. So, right there, what I was kind of expecting to count on a little bit more was to be a little bit better with these combos. I'm not that good at them, but I have been able to do entire boss fights using only combos before. Again, you know, seems cheap, going ahead and blaming it on the game, but just go ahead and go between a PS3 controller and a Vita, if it's available to you. And just tell me if that's not a really weird and awkward change. Alright. That needs to stop stepping away. There we go. Get degenerated. Yeah, he's not exactly a difficult boss fight, so last time I just completely flubbed it. As much as I try to block that, it won't do a thing. Oh, hell. Well, one thing I'm also noticing is that they seem a little bit faster. So all the bosses seem just, I want to say like half a second faster. Fast. That would have been really good too, because if you get a crit, you'll just continue doing the same thing. Damage. Heal yourself up. Get yourself all healed back. Focus. Somebody was issuing a challenge earlier to like try to beat every boss using only a single chain. Well, maybe. I'll consider it. So at this kind of risk, we'll probably... I would assume he's capable of at least a 130. Go ahead and heal up a little bit more. Probably worth doing another degenerate on him just to make sure, because that's probably about to wear off. Because it's kind of funny, if you think about it in real time, a lot of these debuffs do not last very long. And yeah. So this one, I'm pretty sure degenerate was 15 before, so now that one's down to 5. Okay, reflect on you. I'm having so much easier of a time with the defense moves than I am with the offense ones. Hit him back. Heal again. As you can see, it's kind of like it's still the same strategy stuff like you would have seen in FFT or TO, just all happening in real time, and, well, kind of sort of real time. Kind of pseudo real time, if you will. Risk is getting a little bit high, so let's go ahead and eat some roots, I guess. They make you calm down a little bit because they taste so crappy. Oh, right, okay, it's counting a little bit late there. As I was mashing the button, just trying to attack, couldn't quite do so. As you may notice, as your risk goes up, your damage goes up, your healing goes up. It's basically adrenaline. Got some minor healing off that. Reflected on. Yes. Okay, good deal. Is that guy done dealt with? He ghost blowed. Tell me why the boss man ghost blowed. Alright, still normal agents. We'll get that up at some point. Why do I keep getting MP? More like strength up or something. Alright, Elixir of Queens, Mages, and Spirit Surge. Alright, let's see, adds a few points to HP, adds some MP. So these are your, just to upgrade your stats items. I'm gonna get one ability. Alright. Numbness I don't use very often. Gain Magic is a maybe, Poison is a maybe. So Poison is currently my top thing unless... Okay, these are the same. Yeah, I recall a few of the fire bosses being kind of dickish, so I'll go ahead and pick that up. And yeah, the way they explain it away is that, no, he already knew all of this stuff. He just, you know, he just remembers that he knew all of it. There we are, finally. Give me that spear. Increases the success rate in non-magical attacks. I believe what that does, it updates your combo window just a tiny little bit. Could be wrong on that, so if I am, just let me know. It's either it increases your accuracy or it gives you a little bit more on the window. Now, if I recall correctly, by the time I was able to get to this point in the original, I was at least able to, I think I was able to dismantle a dagger and slap that dagger on the end of the thing and make a glaive. Let's see. Ooh, yeah, this thing is way stronger than anything else right now. Just basic spear. And rusty at that. I can't do any more healing, but I can slap that gem on it. Rusty nail, it's got one slot. We've only got the Braveheart, so it adds 3 affinity to everything. Doesn't change its type at all, adds 2 strength, gives a little bit of agility. There we are. Just a flat upgrade. Hello, Mr. Cowman. Can't stay, haven't watched part 1 yet all the way? Well, I mean, it is how it is. Alright, well, let's go ahead and rename this first of all. This is gonna be the poke stick. Love that you can rename all of your equipment. Like, this game is just entirely about customizing your kit in weird ways. Like, if you just want a gem that makes your crossbow shoot friggin' rocks and just shoot fire and that's it. Here we are. I now have a poke stick. Pretty quick to deliver. Yeah, I had another little opening here. I was hoping to do 3 of these today. And then just like, if anybody can't catch up, then there's stuff there. Because I'll probably have a little bit of a shortage of time in the near future. But then it kind of wound up changing a little bit, so it kind of wound up being more like it's going to be 2 of them. Eh, whatever, it's a whole thing. So. That away. Save state just in case that spear was random. Call it a diddle fiddle. I'm gonna have to call the crossbow that. Yes! Healing panel. And curing panel. And apparently somebody died here regardless. Okay. There's a save spot anyway. Hello, box. How's your day going? Nope. Don't want to check the container because the container involves a lot of menus. I'm kind of scared of the container, to be totally honest. It's one of those weird things where, like, you end up going to the menu and they're like, "Would you like to save? The box needs to save. You need to save when you're leaving the box, otherwise you're gonna lose all of the stuff that you just resorted all over the place." Like, no! Just let me mess with it. Oh well. At least they give you the option that if you're full on inventory, you can just rip your weapons into pieces and they're easier to carry. Alright, what are we doing here? I don't have it still yet. Oh yeah, I was gonna rename that one thing. So, since it looks a little bit more like a violin, the seventh heaven is gonna be the diddle fiddle. Gastroff and a simple bolt. Interestingly enough, the Gastroff is a kind of an endgame weapon in Tactics Ogre. Alright, so diddle fiddle. Stream at a convenient time too. I have lunch now. Well, glad to be convenient. I just wanted to share as much as possible while the kiddos are sleeping. Once again, as soon as anyone wakes up, I'm right the hell out of here. So there's that. There we are. We now have a diddle fiddle. That's appropriate. You disassemble. I'm gonna go ahead and disassemble this rapier. And the fandango, because I don't really plan on using either of those. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna keep the fandango. Just in case there's anything that's inexplicably only weak to slashing, which may come up. Just like that Minotaur was, but as I recall, the Minotaur was the only one that shouldn't have been possible without that. There we go, that's the timing I'm used to. The most awkward friggin' way that he ends up going and doing that secondary slash. I think it's these light sources, specifically these fire things. As soon as there's more than one on screen, it starts freaking out. A rock throwing crossbow? Yeah, you can do that. Crossbows, I believe, they can get the crushing type. Actually, I know they can get the crushing type. Most of them are piercing. Oh, crapola. Let's heal up a little bit. In fact, I kind of want to see how good Spirit Surge is right now. Yeah, it's funny because there's even a crossbow in Tactics Ogre that's meant as... I believe it's meant as a reference to this. Because you can get... one of the early crossbows is a rock shooting crossbow. Pretty much under the same name as I recall. Oh, sweet Jeebus, that's good. Yeah, it got upgraded alright. Friggin' nukes these guys. That'll do. That'll do. Well, let's see how much it costs. Let's degenerate, it would be under Warlock. Yeah, that's pretty darn nifty right there, but like an idiot, I forgot to check how much it actually cost. Jeez, yes. This guy's coming along okay. Alright, first off, how much did that cost? 10. Yeah, I believe that used to be like 20. So, fan-friggin-tastic. Let me put this away, let it recover for just a moment. And you know what? Be right back. Let me go check on the kiddos. Alright, and back we are. So, Seems like all is good on this end. Yeah, it's always hard to tell. It's always hard to tell whether one of the kids is woken up or whether it's the neighbor's kid that's doing that. And all that time recovering, and I'm just gonna step immediately on a freeze trap. Ah, fantastic. I'm actually tempted to make this guy into a bit of, probably just make him into like a rune fencer from TO. Like have him be a pretty extensive caster this time around. Because this stuff just keeps getting better the more you use it. Jeez. Yeah, I'm almost tempted to say that's a little bit on the overpowered side right now. Old? Almost 30. Let's see. 28 at this point. So there's that. Starting to become an old man Jones. Do another one of them. Make the nukes happen. Actually, one thing I've been surprised by, so the discussion of age came up not too long ago with the AC community. I'm really surprised just how many Armored Core folks are in their 30s. Like, everybody's either in college or already has a family. There's no one in between. It's the weirdest thing. Either in college or, like, roughly college age, I should probably clarify. I think triangle... Oh. Okay. Again... God, I love how friggin' nuts overpowered this is. I'm just shooting laser beams out of this spear. I mentioned this game's freaking amazing. Because it is. And again, that's just kind of the thing. You're... Like, every single run-through, depending on both luck and how you play, you're just gonna have a completely different character. The guy may look the same, but his abilities will be very different. Now, obviously, this is modded, so it's gonna be different, but because I'm using more casting abilities, he's gonna slowly get better at those. Basically, because I'm using more ranged weapons and less blocks, he's gonna be a little bit worse on defense. So I should probably use this. No point in waiting. So these ones, by the way, they can vary in how much they give you. There we go, got a +3. I believe they can vary +3, or +1 to +5, if I'm not mistaken. I know some people like to save and just like save scum it till they get maxed out stats. Yeah, there's MP +4. Let's see, it's still pretty young to have more than one kid. Well, I actually I do just have one, though there's one more on the way. But I babysit for any family members that need me to. Since I basically work from home anyway, so, you know, I have all the setup everywhere. Have anything anybody may need for baby stuff. Oh, right, this is that one. Right. That's gonna do nothing to him. God, don't degenerate me, you dick. Here's the funny part, though. So on Armored Core being a quote-unquote hardcore series, it's a real shame that it got that reputation. Because it's actually a very casual game once you actually give it a chance. It's strange. Like, there's a high bar for mastery of weirdly specific things. Oh, you little dickery thing. Come on. Let me hit you. He's just gonna disappear again. Alright, I might as well back off, because I can't fight this guy in this condition. So that just goes to show you how all the defense systems work in this. Like, if something resists it, if their armor is actually protective against whatever you're using, odds are, without some assistance, you won't be able to get through it. The most dedicated fans played them since PS1. Yeah, I mean, it seems that way. Like, it's... again, it's kind of funny how that whole series goes, because they've been around... Like, they've been regularly putting out titles up until... Let's see, up until about 5 years ago, give or take? And yeah, despite the fact that they had one dang near every year, it still wasn't enough to actually keep them relevant in the eyes of many people. Okay, here's what we need to do. He put to generate. Actually, that's not for equipment. I was gonna say if it was just... Right. Okay, it's ineffective, but we're gonna do this forever. Mind Blast. I don't have anything to resist this, so... Right, silent, that's a problem. Let's put the spear back on. Give him my poke stick. Let's see. All that mech customization available with balance tuning and all that. Yeah, again, that's another thing that it's like it's there, but honestly, you can just pick up one or two things and get through the game just fine. Like it's just like Souls in that way. Like you see people going and you know how they'll just like pick up one item and they'll pretty much be good all through to the very end of the game and whatnot. It's just like that. Alright, let's see. Greatsword, edged. Okay, now I can probably get rid of the other one. So for one thing, let's see if an edge will handle this guy. What are we looking at damage-wise for this thing? 23, so it's stronger than what I got. Doesn't scale off int whatsoever. Pick this beastly thing up. What else? Got a Elixir of Queens on there. We'll pop that sucker on there. But yeah, like for example, I was doing the attempting a speedrun of AC3 earlier. Ended up ruining it, but whatever. Point being, was attempting it, and ran into a thing where you pretty much just need one thing from the shop at the very start. I don't know greatsword timings at all, by the way. Okay, so he's gonna do that sort of thing. I think I'm actually gonna hang on to this thing. Okay. There to start, you get it, run enough stuff, use it. You're set all game. So yeah, with AC, it's like that, except you don't need any stats. Like, you can just pick up the thing and you're good to go. Like, you go to the store, probably about 60% of the stuff that's available at the store from the very start is the same kind of stuff you'll be using up till the very end. Like, the speedrun for it, which honestly isn't even that far from how a lot of people play it, is just, you go to the store, you sell your starting legs, you sell your starting booster, you sell your starting weapon and generator. Like, Actually, I have, and Mr. Cow, who's here too, or at least who was here. Okay, check defeated ghost. And we got an MP booster. So is this open now? It rusted and won't budge. Dang. I didn't actually see if the timer ran out. Okay. Let's see, Demon Souls, it was basically the exact same thing. Demons was just a little bit less balanced in many ways. They had a lot more openness to it, and you had a lot more potential for grinding. But yeah. Honestly, a lot of FromSoft stuff has that design thing where just the stuff that you pick up at the very beginning will last you all game if you let it. Okay, so I can't... Can I go back? Is that open now? Like, okay, so, Cow, who was here... Oh, that's just gone now. So he was here earlier, both of us have done starter AC runs of that one, where you basically just take the thing that you started with, and you just take it with you all game. You never upgrade anything, you never do anything different, you just play using that thing, and it's far from impossible. Yeah, the timing on the sword's a little bit different from the spear, but pretty similar. Okay. The rust on the hinges came off because because of the earthquake. Okay. This guy. He seemed targetable. Would you like to get nuked instead? Yeah, goodbye. Honestly, the goofiness of the sword makes me think of RuneScape of all things. Good morning, you just got lasered. Pew pew pew. They actually said that they were going to release another AC at some point, or do something with it. Whether that's AC6 or like a remaster or what, who the hell knows at this point. All they said was last year when... ooh, 2 points to strength. Hell yeah, I'll take that. Last year when they had the 20th anniversary of the series, they basically just had an announcement that said, okay, look, we practically completely forgot about the series, so... why don't you just go ahead and wait a minute? We're gonna have something to show off for it soon. So be patient, please. And here's a theme, and only the Japanese side's gonna get it. So that's kind of just the running theme there. Like, oh, we made a thing. Only the Japanese side gets it, though. Okay, messed that up. That was all me messing that up. It's a shame, though, because the few people that have stuck around this long have been pretty dedicated to the series. Alright, let's do Poison next. I want another defense ability, but I really want to try out Poison. So, we'll have that option available. Put this away. Grab a little bit of a heal and recover for a second. Go ahead and drop a save state too, just because I want to keep stuff flowing. See, they interviewed Miyazaki about what they're planning to do next. Oh, actually, an interesting thing. So, if you've heard of Daemon X Machina, that's of all things, it's something that got released on the, or it's going to be released on the Switch. They got a lot of the AC developers from the quote-unquote golden age of Armored Core. So, for example, the ones that were there during like AC3 and Silent Line and some of the earlier ones and whatever else. Miyazaki started around Last Raven, and then he fully got his hands on stuff once 4 and 4 Answer hit. So he added a bunch of cool stuff, but as far as a lot of the older things that a lot of older fans liked, he wasn't always necessarily around for those. Alright, so if you ever end up seeing something along the lines of, like, old fans being really bitter towards Miyazaki, it's mostly just because of 4 and 4 Answer. Because it's like the one that got fairly popular, but at the same time, it's the one that ended up changing a lot of the older mechanics, which left a lot of people bitter. Personally, I think 4 Answer is probably one of my favorites, but... I forget exactly how this goes, but it's something like dropping this box right here or something. Where are you, camera? Yes. Oh no, I screwed this up. I needed to drop that stone block on top of the other ones. Okay, now that the Ninja game turns, Sekiro and Mech game would be next. Yeah, so I wonder how it'll end up going, because okay, they already said, so like I said, they already said that they would do Armored Core at some point, but they also, all of their team for AC is off doing other stuff. So for the old gen team, you had the guy that did most of the design, who went off to go work on Left Alive. You had the rest of the team, like the producers and everything else, they went off to, apparently there were multiple producers for the older games, but apparently they went off to work on that Daemon X Machina thing. And then from there, right spot, not quite. And then from there, Miyazaki would be the one for the other games. Let me adjust the camera here a little bit. So if he's the one that ends up heading it, there's a few people that are going to be upset. It probably will still be very good, but I'm just saying there may be a few people upset by that decision. I'm pretty sure this is how this is supposed to go. Oh, dang it. Dude, I am an idiot today. I need to move it to the left a little bit. Bah. Yeah, For Answer looks bare bones. It's actually not. It's one of the most complicated ones in the series. So, For Answer in a nutshell. Like, how do I even explain this? So first gen, so this would be AC1, Project Phantasma, Master of Arena, all of that. It was just like little kid with Legos. That's the best way to probably describe it. You had your different parts and everything, but for the most part, you had your arms, your legs, you had your left arm, which was only you only had a selection of blades that went into that. You had your right arm. You had your each shoulder, which could be like a cannon or a missile launcher or whatever else. Like if you had a cannon, you had to be a tank, or else you'd have to kneel down to fire the thing, unless you were a filthy cheater and used Human Plus, which you could actually just fail the game multiple times and go extremely broke, and then they would put your character into human experimentation, and then you would gain superpowers. So that was the best implementation of a cheat I've ever seen. Anyway. So you had those ones, and yeah, your options were fairly limited. Let's see, you had a generator for the inside, you had an FCS for your fire control system there. And that was kind of it. You just kind of went around, you did missions only in the first one. You had you had an arena there, but you didn't, like, particularly go and choose who you wanted to fight in that arena. Then you had Project Phantasma, which added in an arena that you could just, like, go in and challenge people. Then they tried to make a story that was a little bit more in-depth, but, you know, writing wasn't exactly their forte at the moment. So there was that, and then there was Master of Arena, which was like, okay, people really like the arena concept. Here's like 400 different arena fights. You got your custom arena, you got 2 full discs of arena fights, a crap ton of maps, and some of just like all the cut content missions that they didn't want to put in the other 2. Yeah, they're left live. The downside with Front Mission, by the way, no customization. It's just like a stealth thing that happens to involve mechs. I wouldn't count that on that for being anything other than maybe visually a reference to Armored Core there, if that's what you're looking for, but it's probably going to be a really good game. Front Mission was an interesting series up until Evolved happened. We're not going to talk about that. And yeah, so back to AC there. Like, then AC2 comes around, starts up 2nd gen. You basically had extensions that were added in and inside parts, and then you had AC3 rolling around. So 3rd gen starts, they start adding in like left-handed guns and all kinds of weird gadgets that you can put inside the AC. You had guns that popped out of your torso pretty much and stuff like that. It was good times. Honestly, 3rd gen's probably my favorite. And then so they had early 3rd gen, which was just like pretty fast and loose with all this stuff. You just slapped something together and you were good to go. Late 3rd gen is when they started getting all simulation-y with it. So, like, for example, suddenly heat was much more of an issue. So before, when you ended up getting hit by something, it was just like a meter that built up. Like, you got hit, your machine had to deal with it, so you generated some heat. If it reached a certain point, you just started dropping health like crazy. So it was just kind of like a bleed-out mechanic, more or less. By the way, I'll mess with all this armor stuff later. For now, it's fine. But then yeah, late 3rd gen hits, and it's a completely different story. It just changes to this thing where... Oh, sorry, excuse me. So suddenly, when you're moving around, you're generating heat. Whenever you're adjusting your flight patterns and stuff, you generate heat, depending on your weight. It's all kinds of different heat mechanics. Depending on your tuning, you know, you tune all your different parts to be a little bit different with that. It was a good touch, I guess, but that's kind of the point when it started getting a lot less fun. Like, it was less about just you slap a mech together and you know, you're mostly worried about customizing for the sake of it being fun. Then it turned into customizing for the sake of making it work at all. And that's why I put together a timeline thing forever ago. That there was this whole thing of trying to logically explain what had happened there. It was like, you know, during this whole period, there clearly must have been an economic shortage or something, where they ran out of some kind of thermal compound to actually keep all this stuff from, you know, overheating or whatever else. Is the only logical explanation for what happened here. And yeah, so Nexus was the one that started off that, and it took it a little bit too far in the opinion of a lot of people. It was like right off the bat, you just started moving and you started overheating, and walking started becoming an actually interesting option because you didn't want to roast. So, let's just say could have been a little bit better, although Nexus did have some of the most interesting music. It had the best music by far, in my opinion. It had some of the best effects in the series, which seems like a weird thing to point out on a PS2 game. But you could tell there was love put into that one. The voice acting and story, not so much, but hey, whatever. It's also the only one that actually had a bad ending to it. Like, no, you could avoid the bad ending by running away. But yeah, not so much. Alright, so front mission 3 had customization? Yes, it did. You could colorize stuff and everything else. You could give them a particular color, you could swap parts around. But it was much more mechanical. It was less about personalizing how you wanted it to play, and more about, like, for example, you wanted somebody to learn double shot or something like that, so you'd have them use a particular set of arms, and then you would have them swapping out abilities, or swapping out parts for the sake of learning their abilities, which is a fun mechanic, but it wasn't for the sake of customization. So you were usually taking penalties and stats for the sake of learning new abilities. But yeah. So, like, in AC, it was more about... There we go. Guisarm. Google an image of a Guisarm. It looks nothing like an axe. It's like a scythe mixed with a bizarre tuning fork type situation on the end of a spear. It's not a two-handed battle axe. But whatever. You know, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. He's Matsuno, he gets to do whatever he wants. He gets a pass. If there's anybody else, though... So apparently I can't hurt this guy very well. Okay, numbing hook. I believe that doesn't let me know how much health I have or something. I forget what numbness does. Or can I not use abilities? I think it might have been not being able to use abilities. It's hard to keep track of some of the debuffs in this game. Oh yeah, frame gride. Yeah, that was like kind of like a almost beat 'em up type situation. That looks pretty cool. I never ended up playing frame gride though. I've watched a fair bit on it, but yeah, never played it. It was on the Dreamcast, wasn't it? I think so. The type of... Well, yeah, a Guisarm is basically like a weird version of a halberd, seemingly meant to be like a kind of a weird evolution of a bill. Like a bill hook is something that you see in a lot of old pictures and stuff like that, wherein it's kind of like a spear with like a scythe kind of thing coming off of it, and the idea was just that it was used for catching. So you saw typically whenever it was shown in pictures, usually had guardsmen and whatever wearing them. So presumably it was something that was helpful for disabling whenever they were going about their guard duties or something like that. But it was a pretty standard thing at the time. But then, yeah, the Guisarm, I don't know, I don't recall ever actually seeing it in any tapestries or seeing it mentioned in any books or whatever. It's just kind of like an experimental thing that was there, and Matsuno just really wants it to be an axe for some reason. But okay, so, yeah, with Armored Core there, so Last Raven was around the point, that's kind of the end of 3rd gen there, and that's around the point when it started getting kind of weird, because around the point in Last Raven there, you had to go and you edited each of the parts individually, so you had your head, your arms, your legs, your booster, your generator, your radiator, your inside, like, you just had like a little gadget on your inside, which is your shoulder units. You had an option for your like your torso area, which was either like an overboost, which would let you move real fast, or an EO of different kinds, which were like these little turrets that popped out. You had your extensions, which were your like the sides of your shoulders, and then you had each of your actual shoulders wearing a thing, and then you had your left arm, your right arm, and then your right and left hangers. And then on top you had your optional parts. So that was, in my opinion, about as far as they should have pushed that. Because at that point, like, it started reaching the territory of like, okay, we're kind of, you know, we're getting a little too far on this. Alright. Hey, I've got one of those too. I'm pretty sure mine's gonna be a little bit better though. Anyway, let's... Aw, only 45? What kind of rip-off nonsense is this? Yeah, the weird thing from the Bardiche, they always called it a scythe for some reason. Yeah. don't know, maybe it's a translation thing. I was actually surprised. Of all things that got referenced, so with Tactics over, right? It's one that ends up referencing this a fair bit. It's both the precursor and successor to both Final Fantasy Tactics and this. And it's this weird situation where they got very, very, very into an odd... Wow, I'm starting to speak like somebody that's never spoken English before. Got very, very, very into an odd place. Okay, they went to weird places in order to try and come up with names for pretty excessive amounts of equipment. Though I think they might have thought a little bit too hard about it. Like, for example, one of the early spears that you get is the Volvish, which is, like, it's there, it's fair, it's, you know, it is a type of thing, but it's so unheard of that I was playing Scrabble a while ago, and literally the computer was like, no, this word does not exist. I'm like, no. It's basically a budget halberd. It does exist. Like, no, I'm sorry. It doesn't in our dictionary. But oh well. That's neither here nor there. I'm really friggin' loving Spirit Surge, though. I think I might actually play a caster character for once. What was I getting at here? Oh yeah. So, to get to the point that I was trying to make like 20 minutes ago now, Or Answer, the one that you were talking about, is far from bare bones. So it took all of the stuff that last one had, where you're going and you're tuning each and every single part, like down to the boosters and generator and radiator and all of that. And they added this system called FRS, which is, I forget what the force recovery or something? I don't know. Something like that. Okay, and this should be that little drop-off point from before, right? Yeah, this is the one with the ghost. We can just go ahead and leave. No point to come back here. That's just for the sake of map porn, I think. But alright. So every time that you went and you got an S rank, or you just got a decent rank whatsoever, you were awarded a certain amount of points. And once you S ranked every single thing in the game and then went back and did all of it on hard, you unlocked all of those points. And you use them for like 0.01% increases on just all kinds of different stats all over the place, from how fast your computer locks, to how exactly it deals with dual wielding, to your acceleration, to your initial thrust, to your, you know, balance towards one end or another. Like, you were literally going and friggin' like adjusting the overall like weight distribution, like where all of your different stabilizers went, well, where like all the different like numbers that would manage how you boosted. Like, you had 3 different sets of frickin' boosters as opposed to the one from before. Like, it got ridiculous. It was fun, don't get me wrong, it's easily one of my favorites, but oh my god, it got mind-numbingly ridiculous with that one. To the point where, yeah, it's not even surprising that a lot of people looked at it and they're like, okay, you know, very sleek-looking, shiny, anime-esque mechs that are actually surprisingly realistic looking, going against friggin' giant machines that look like they came from Star Wars or something. This looks awesome. And then they try it, and then they just, like, their mind dies a little bit as they look at all the stats. Like, I mean, I was going and remaking all kinds of earlier gen Armored Core stuff and that for a very long time. Like, we're talking months, years, whatever. Up until my PS3 died and I lost all that data. But, yeah, I tried to get my brother to try it. I bought him a copy. I kept insisting that he try it over and over and over. He tried a couple matches. Like, he literally begged me to stop trying to get him to try that thing because it was just physically unpleasant for him to even learn it. Which, I guess I can understand. Okay, let's go ahead and save state here. What happened? Is this another ghost room? No, this is the speed boss. Right. Check it out, I got spears too. Also, I know you had a comment on there, I haven't looked at it just yet. Oof, that guy does some frickin' damage, holy crap. And you Need to heal. Then you're gonna degenerate, and then you're also... Actually, no, I'm gonna swap out the recovery move, so I'm gonna swap out Temper for Poison. I wanna see how good that is. Venom... 40% damage on phone, repairs a small amount of... I'm gonna get rid of... No. I'm gonna swap out this for now. Let's see. By bare bones, I meant that most missions have you doing pretty basic stuff, but maybe I just don't remember too well, like all the customization you probably would never use in single player. Play as crossbowcaster, that spear is pretty strong though. Yeah, I'm loving this spear right now. Also, once again with that analog stick forgetting to do one of these, because I'm about to die. Alright. But yeah, if you were going for S ranks, there was a fair bit of customization to do. Oh, poison. Never have that. He's doing 21s, 19s. Oh, wow, that's actually very fast now. Fantastic. I gotta remember to keep that in mind for the future. Alright. But yeah, so, point being, you could honestly get away without using a lot of that customization, but just the fact that it was there was a scary prospect for a lot of people. So that's kind of the problem that they ran into there. And honestly, 5 and Verdict Day would have done a whole lot better if they had just kind of reined him in a little bit. Because the thing is, and the reason that a lot of people are kind of a little bit bitter towards Miyazaki for what happened with 4 Answer there, is just he added a leveling mechanic to it, which the main thing of AC was always like, no. The stuff that you start with, you can get through the entire friggin' game and its sequels and everything else just using this. And, yeah, you just took that rule and flipped it on its head. Where suddenly, if you wanted to compete online, you had to go and S-rank every single friggin' thing. And the annoying part is that it ended up sticking around. So they added a system in 5 and then also in Verdict Day. Which... Verdict Day actually wound up doing a lot of really cool stuff. But they added this mechanic in there, wherein every time that you got a higher rank, your overall rank went higher, which pretty much meant that in order to go and unlock all the parts, you had to go and max out your rank, and it was a little bit annoying. I'm just gonna go ahead and use this for safety's sake. Whoop. Should probably have taken Gain Magic earlier. The only thing about poison so far is I don't know its timing. Too many light sources on screen at the moment, but it's at least making these combos at least somewhat easier. Oh yes. Hello, crit. He hopped off the box and said sorry. Hello, Glaive. I'm gonna think about why the crap haven't I... Oh, and I even got an ability. Okay, defense abilities is there. Second Soul adds 100% of the MP used in the attack. Yes. Abso-frickin-lutely. Okay, I forgot that this stops time, so... You ever need to stop time and look around? Start button. Now. First off, I definitely want that as one of my constant abilities. So this, I'm probably never going to frickin' use, to be totally honest. This is anti-magic, this is attack, and this is just recover. Have that. Chain-wise... Yeah, I'm probably going to put this back. Poison's very good, though. Good to know, and let me pop down a Vera Root here. Fantastic. And we're good to go. Go poisoning away. That little backhand thing from the square attack, absolutely love that. Like that, and you're gone. Another spear, nice. Glorious, unseals it on the catacombs, fantastic. Well, let's see what's better then. All these nifty goodies. So you may have noticed, like he mentioned in the notes, there's some better equipment here. So let's see, iron spear, maybe a little bit better. Both its int and strength are slightly higher. This thing got 24/7. Thing's also 24/7, -7, range 5, risk 1. 5, risk 1, -2 though, so this is slightly better. Piercing 4. Edge 0, so you may be noticing some of these bonuses don't quite make sense. Like this one functions off of spear, off of piercing, but it gets a bonus to edged. That's mostly because the haft that it's using isn't the right one for the blade. That's going to happen with a lot of these early ones. So that's why the diddle fiddle will be the one that I'm using. Maybe that'll bleed over in the next AC game? I hope not. Because that mechanic sucked. Like, people liked leveling up and getting S ranks and stuff, but it's this weird thing where they're going and they're assuming a lot of things, because they keep trying to push this multiplayer thing, and multiplayer is not what they're good at all. Yeah, 5 and 15, I think that's the best we're gonna get. He's the same. They look to be the same. The ring mail seems to give the best overall, though, so we're gonna go for that. But yeah, so they keep, for some reason, assuming that it's suddenly gonna become this massive multiplayer hit, which makes no sense, because it's been primarily a single-player focused thing for a very long time, and so they keep trying to push this multiplayer component. I guess one of the big shames of it is, like, for example, Verdict Day. It has one of the best reasons I've ever seen for a multiplayer, especially in that kind of setting, because you get to the very end boss. I'm not even worried about spoiling it, because it's Armored Core, it's not some amazing storyline. But you get to the very end, you fight this guy that's basically a resurrection of a machine from another game, and then you're like, oh, you know, good. You beat this machine. I've got like 1 billion more of these, just so you know. They're like, okay, fine, we'll just keep going back and we'll keep fighting them. It's like, you do realize you'll eventually run out of people, right? Because, like, the whole idea is they've got all these machines from all these, you know, cataclysmic world wars that they keep storing underground, and this guy just has access to all of them. And that's kind of how it goes. Every single game is just like, we dug up all this crazy old machinery. Maybe we should go ahead and just put it back in the hole where we found it so we don't end the world again. Nah, it's fine, we got this. And then, you know, the exact same thing happens again. So what ends up happening is yeah, so he's basically just saying, like, look, I have an infinite amount of these, and then the multiplayer is just the same thing, the same corporate war that's been going on throughout the entire single player, except it carries over to the multiplayer, so you're going and raiding each other's places, and every now and then one of these bosses shows up, and that's kind of just how it goes. I think those boots should be an upgrade. Let's see. Are you upgrade? I'm pretty sure everything has to be an upgrade to sandals, right? Surprisingly weaker magic, slightly better against physical. Somehow less. How are sandals protecting from fire? Oh well, gives some affinity defense, which I'm gonna go ahead and assume is really good. All right, let's see. I was watching a live stream as it happened. I paused you while I went to go make tea. Did you all stop moving and talking while I was gone? No cheating? Did anything happen? There was a boss. Let's see. Souls multiplayer was top tier. Was balance better work rate? Yeah, see, in Souls it worked. And that's only because of the map design. Because you could do all kinds of cool crap and, you know, show up all weird looking. And that's what they tried to do. Again, that's probably part of the reason that they kept trying to push AC for that same thing. Because people love to do weird designs. Like, you wanted to... Actually, Mr. Cow isn't here anymore, but you know, he would, like, for example, every time that I go and I do an AI tournament or something like that, he just builds a bunch of them that are just based off animals. Alright, nuke ghost, please. Or this one. I'll take either, really, just... I don't want to be on this edge right here. It's not insta-death, by the way. I love how his weird hair antennas keep flopping around while he's doing that. But yeah, so there was a lizard boss while you were gone, Mr. Vin. Does AC Universe even have people anymore? Do you mean the website, or do you mean, like, in general? Like, the series, as in plot-wise? Because plot-wise, yes, they keep going and they keep hiding underground, or they keep hiding in other places. Like, the way that the plot goes, as far as I've seen it, at least the way that I like to picture it / explain it, is just, it starts off with 4 and 4 answer. Yes, it doesn't make any sense, but it starts off like 8 games in. Gonna have to block puzzle. No, block puzzles. So, it starts off with that one. It's the most reasonable start point, just because nations still exist. Okay. No, pick up box. There we go. So it starts off around there. What can I do with the box? I can probably put the box over here. Yeah, a bunch of wars break out, nations get dismantled. And the giant mechs that they're using at the time put out radiation, which ends up pretty much ruining a bunch of the major cities in the world, which is how corporations end up taking over stuff, because they don't rely on the cities for stuff. So by 4 answer, most of the population is pretty much up in, like, literal floating sky islands. They're just like these giant planes, pretty much. By the end of 4 answer, all of those have crashed down to the ground because there's not enough power to keep them all going. At which point, there's just basically a giant war that breaks out because you've got radiation everywhere. You've got a bunch of giant, like, walking city machines going and wreaking havoc like no one's business. And, yeah, overall, kind of a bad time. So everyone with any sense ends up going underground, everyone else tries to kind of live stuff out in the desert. Then 5 and Verdict Day happen, at which point it's just that whole ground war, pretty much. So everyone that's left is living in tiny, crappy settlements, and/or on trains, and/or on boats. And yeah, stuff's irradiated and horrible, and it's all like a Mad Max-looking situation. At which point, yeah, all the endless machines end up showing up and pretty much going Terminator on all that mess. At which point AC1 happens, because everybody that's left out of that disaster ends up going underground. Which kind of explains why the ACs kind of go from being ridiculously amazing super beasts to just kind of sucking at that point, because they're pretty much using whatever survived. And yeah, so they end up doing all that. I think this is the right way to go. And yeah, then there's presumably a kind of timeline split, because in one of them, a guy ends up going and... or humanity ends up going and colonizing Mars. In another one, they end up not doing that, and end up continuing to live underground until stuff goes completely haywire. Also, yeah, you were definitely not there before, buddy. Okay. Yeah, plot-wise, so... yeah, that's why I made a thing about the AC timeline, because it's bizarre. So presumably it splits at that point, in which one guy, or rather, part of humanity goes to live in Mars, the rest stay on Earth. In one of these timelines, there's one type of machine that ends up taking over, and the other one there's another. It's arguable that they're kind of like rival-type setups. Because one of them's like pretty much just an automated system that keeps everything safe and running, whereas the other is more of a dictatory kind of thing, whose only role is just whenever something gets too strong or influential, it shows up, deletes it, and then goes back to whatever it was doing. Including one of them, like a Master of Arena is an example of this, where apparently your main character's parents or something were too important, so they get deleted by this guy. They're just some character that has a vendetta against this guy. He finds out about it, and he just keeps sending clones over and over and over, and they just keep showing up all over the place. Like, he shows up in the first game, he shows up in the third game, In all the other games, he just has like little cameos here and there. But he just keeps showing up. The guy just won't stop. And that's when you end up blowing up a computer, which looks a lot like this other computer, which... just watch the timeline video. It's a very long and convoluted story. And none of it is actually explicitly said. Because throughout the entire series, it's literally just like, here's a bunch of jobs, just go do them. Go attack this thing, go protect this thing, just hang out around here while nothing happens. You know, any of that. That's basically the entire series. And then all of the story is just kind of implied in the background. You get emails, you get little short bits of dialogue during missions, which oftentimes don't make sense without context. There's a lot of that. Blow up all the flying arcs. That's actually the possibly canon and definitely bad ending. So For Answer had a whole bunch of endings. But yeah, in one of them, you're single-handedly responsible for shooting all of them down. In the one that the game kind of railroads you in for your first playthrough, you end up saving all of them, and then they just slowly run out of power because there's really no actual way to save them. So what a happy plot, right? Alright. Put that there, let's put that there. Okay, let's put you over here, because I need to move one of these other boxes. Okay, can I move you somewhere? How do I does? I need to move these together somehow. What if... I feel like I'm missing a box. Like maybe I need to get a box from up there in order to make this happen. Very possible. Can I peek a box? I don't know. But yeah, so that blowing up the arcs route, though, is pretty friggin' messed up. Like, they have this entire thing where you're flying around, and this weird, like, repo Russian guy is just there in the background the entire time, like, oh yeah, 1 million dead, 2 million dead, etc. Like, he's just this psychotic mafia dude or whatever, named Old King, and he just does this over and over and over, and he's just laughing maniacally as you're doing this. Just... not even maniacally so much as the guy sounds drunk. So yeah, this keeps happening over and over, and then finally you have the very last fight of the thing, which consists of everyone that's possibly survived in the plotline up to that point just turning on you for one last fight, which is ridiculously difficult. Oh, we're gonna leech health with a crossbow somehow. But like, even the lady in the background that gives you all of your updates and gives you your orders and whatever else shows up. They're like, yeah... Actually, no, during the one with the arcs, she actually ends up just leaving mid-mission. She's like, no, I'm out. This is way too far. Ah, yes. Ah, yes, first workshop. Okay, let's... So put this away. Make workshop happen. Okay. Very, very long story on that. Put aside. Let's disassemble some stuff. So let's get rid of the Gisarm. Should be able to take apart the Gisarm and the glaive. Potentially put together a halberd of some description. Even though the glaive would be a halberd, but whatever. Take all this apart. Probably even take the poke stick apart. Like, as good as this thing is, I want it to be even better. So we're going to take that apart. Take this dirk apart. And probably take apart the Shandy Gaff, as well as the Fandango. All of those I should have at least some parts for. Alright, let's assemble some crap. So, blade-wise, and... iron polearm. Not the strongest polearm, though. Yeah. That's gonna be the strongest one. Duelim. Not edged. What about Pierce? You have Pierce. Only got 4. Bummer. Anyway. 2, 1, 3. 1, 3. Disappointing. Well. How much for that? Okay. That on there. And it seems like we basically made the exact same thing. Let me reset real quick then to undo all of that disassembling, because I don't feel like reassembling all that crap. Alright. Old King is the strongest dude in Demon Souls. Yeah, he's actually, I believe he's actually a reference to that same Old King. Yeah, the guy's a little bit of a nut job. There's a lot of references between the two. Actually, the first Souls, Dark Souls there, actually has a reference to Armored Core 3 of all things. Actually, just 3rd gen Armored Core in general. The Iron Tarkus set, it's, what's that head? One of the head parts, and then it's made to look similar. He's supposed to be a reference to Jacko, one of the characters from Nexus and Last Raven. Actually, there's one of the heads in DS2 that I think is meant to look like the Elia head from 4 and 4 Answer. I'm not sure about that one. Kind of a stretch to say that they look very similar. Symbol. Here, let's disassemble everything except for the poke stick. Disassemble this one. Actually, no wait, that would have been a better weapon, wouldn't it? This one's still bronze. Yeah, you know what? I do want the better spearhead on there. I'm gonna completely redo that same crap I just undid. Quality content. Skip this. And get rid of this. Actually, wait a minute. That's a really good dagger. An H-class dagger. But it can be better. Alright. Let's assemble some new weapons. First off... Dang it, why can't I slap you on the end of a stick and call you a spear? Get this. What kind of grips do we have for you? One of these should make it better. Alright, good enough. We're gonna be Noif. A Noif. And good. Make a new spear. Iron polearm. Coolum pole. Still a shame that we don't have any better hafts for this, but well. Poker. Actually, just poke stick works. Might look a little bit different though. There's that. Actually, amazing how many different models there are for the weapons in this. They really did not need to go that far with it. All right, the demons had a guy named Ostrava too, and Patches. Yeah, so it was Ostrava, which was apparently a mistranslation of Atsdarva, which is one of the ones from 4 and 4 Answer, and then yeah, Patches was a reference to Souls in 4 Answer. Except he came in as Patch the Good Luck. He was supposed to be Patches the Lucky, but he was mistranslated as Patch the Good Luck. And he's just a guy that shows up, he like stays around for half of a fight, and then he just begs for his life and tries to run away. And you can let him run away, but yeah, if you want to S rank it, you just completely nuke the bastard. Put this poke stick back on here. I feel like it got upgraded very slightly. That's a physical affinity. Maybe it'll be better. That looks like a big old just chunk of metal, though. Alright. Unfortunately, still can't use a shield with a spear. Now, the Noif doesn't seem terribly good, but it's a low-risk weapon, weirdly enough. You'd think using a spear would be less risky, but whatever. So it's very good for its risk cost. Almost tempted to even use it for a little while. But oh well. Now. armor-wise, we can probably combine some stuff. Okay, well, repair everything. That'll get rid of some of its phantom strength. Combine. We can combine here. Can I combine you and you? What's this gonna give me? Gonna give me some jank-looking spear. Okay. No bronze. Oh, you know what? You know what? Let's disassemble that knife. Can I make you... Actually, let's disassemble a poke stick, too. I know, I'm going back and forth on this, but I wanna make a really good spear here. Okay, so, combine. What happens if I combine the Hagenine knife? Why not? Oh, they don't have the right material. Fine. Oh, and I can't... Hickory. Find you, and what does that give me? That. I'm just gonna combine everything that I possibly can with a friggin' spear part and see what happens. Like if I can just make a crap load of spears or something. Faith, how about no? Here. Lunch is over, gotta go work. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to go pretty soon here myself. Combine this. Combine it with this. Makes a great sword. Okay, what about... I combine those. Get a very physically orientated spear. Then I also potentially get rid of my crossbow. Or not so much. Don't combine those. Scimitar. Okay, what happens if I combine scimitar and broadsword? Get a spatha. That seems alright. What happens if I combine a spatha, though, with a spear? Not much. That's better. Okay. That. What else? Mix this. And mix one of these. What does that do? Well, if I know. I mix you with a bandage. Sure, do that. A little bit more combining here. Alright, let's combine both spears. Might as well just have one. Okay, fair enough. That, and now... what else? That and the spear. And I guess it's better or something. Or, no it isn't. It becomes a spatha. Oh, hello, alarm. Oh, hello there. So you played some of this in the original version, never really understood it. Yep, there's a lot of mechanics at play in it, that's for sure. So, yeah, I've been slowly trying to explain stuff as I go along, but yeah, there's a crap ton of stuff going on. So, first off, setup. I should probably remake my actual weapon here, huh? After all that other nonsense. First off, 20 and 6. That's 22 and 6. Much more physically orientated. Now we're just gonna go iron. It's just better. Stick the Braveheart on it, and we're pretty much good to go. We're remaking the poke stick. But yeah, so, in short, the best way to look at it is just, it's a never-ending puzzle. It's just like, it's an RPG that's constantly trying to get around obstacles that you technically always have the answers to get around, but you may not always realize it. So, you know, everything's just got a crapload of different affinities and defenses and weaknesses and everything flying around all the time. Okay, hopefully this thing is all good to go now. I'll stop messing around in the workshop before I end up spending all day in here. Let me at least get to the next point. Alright. Is this any better? I've made my weapon worse. Fantastic. PS1 version of Dark Souls, yeah. That title has to go somewhere between this and Shadow Tower. Somewhere in there is exactly Dark Souls. This? Like, this one... It's weird because everything is constantly trying to be organic. Like, it's... Everything you do, you become better at. Everything, it's kind of like everything that Bethesda's ever tried to do in their systems, except actually done correctly. Like, everything you do, you get better at. Everything that you try is bound to be successful to some degree, which seems like it would be less rewarding than it is. Alright, this guy's just gonna chase me around. The whole stop and go thing definitely probably scared a few people off, though. Don't go for him, do go for him. Made my weapon worse. My face when upgrading. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I combined a bunch of stuff that I probably shouldn't have. The whole reason that it got made worse is probably because of the whole phantom power thing. So there's a background mechanic going on at all times, so that every time you fight anything, you become more like that thing. So you become better at fighting whatever it is that you fight. It sounds simple on paper, but a little bit more complicated than that. There we go. So what had happened, I was using a spear for a very long time, used it to fight a lot of things, and it got pretty strongly improved. And I don't have Instill yet. So Instill is one of the abilities you can pick up along the way. Essentially, it creates a situation where you'll be able to essentially increase the infinity for your... Why do I keep saying infinity? Affinity for whatever it is you're using. So, go right here. Look at these items, right? Let me look at it, please. Just look at it from here, I guess. So, you got your class, affinity, and type. So, right here. So the class is just like, you get one, usually get +1, -1 whenever you're fighting something, and you just become slightly better at fighting that particular thing. Like, this has a pretty generalized bonus against most things. Affinity is, again, same kind of thing. If you're using it to fight physically, if you're getting hit by air, if you're getting hit by fire, whatever else, it's got a strong physical affinity, which should, because it's a weapon anyway. And then this is decided by what the blade's good at, and what the grip is good at, and what the gem attached to it is good at, etc. So this pole, for example, would be far better if I could make it into a glaive or something like that. But, yeah, funnily enough, the glaive that I had didn't actually turn it into a glaive. It just turned it into a different spear, but whatever. Point being, it's kind of an early game problem, but it would be doing much better if it had an edge on it rather than a pointy tip. And so yeah, as you see up there on the top left, so you got DP and PP. So DP is durability. As that goes down, your offensive potential goes down, and then PP is your phantom points, as weird as that sounds. I was hitting select to see if it would come up with a better description. But long story short, it's just like... it's like a never-ending bonus kind of thing. So the more you use it without repairing it, the more, I guess you could say, adrenaline it's got going on. Like, that probably the best comparison. Alright. I'm trying to think of it. I know what I need to do. I need to hit this thing. That's why I can't figure out this puzzle. I need to put this over here. I completely forgot that you could just beat up these metal boxes. I'm gonna put you over here. I'm gonna push you. There we go. Pick you up. Put you over here. Like, yeah, this and the Tactics Ogre remake on the PSP. Both of them have systems wherein everything is just constantly evolving, and to actually explain the system is more difficult than just, like, dealing with the consequences of a bad decision. Because you'll end up doing absolutely nothing every once in a while, but there's usually low enough of a penalty threshold that you can usually figure out some nonsense shenanigans to get your way through. Like in this one, you can reflect dang near anything, so I'm sure there's completely a way to get through it without ever fighting once. Or to ever swinging a weapon around, I should say. So, there's options. There's so many friggin' options. Let's see. Oh yeah, and each time, everything's pretty much randomized. So every time you fight a boss, you get different stuff. Every time you go to a different area. Aside from most of the keys, it's, like, most of the abilities you end up getting, most of the stats you end up getting, everything else, it's just, like, luck of the draw. So you just deal with whatever you end up getting. Like, this guy wound up being a really good caster, and wound up getting a really good spear and everything else, so... spear caster it is. Wound up getting a bunch of really good things early on. Degenerate, I think, is guaranteed. Heal is not. And Spirit Surge, I don't believe, is guaranteed. So, that's very useful. But I want to say I got this quite a ways down the line in my original run. Anyway, this mod ends up changing a lot of quality of life stuff, ends up making a lot of previously too easy stuff a little bit more difficult, all that sort of thing. So, hopefully it didn't just disconnect. It's very possible that it did. No, it's showing fine. Interesting. Wonder if my phone's just being janky. It is. Alright, let's see. I hate Ghost so much. Yes, I had like 3 weapons that I played with, and I would switch depending on the enemy because of Affinity's contrast. And yeah, that's the way you're supposed to do it. You just make a bunch of stuff that's good at different things, and, you know, you just kind of go with what's more comfortable for you. So I like having a fairly general-purpose spear and crossbow, and just kind of figuring it out from there. It does end up leaving without a damage type one of those times, but close enough. Let's see, I had a failed run where I got to the dragon and had nothing that could damage it. Yeah, so that's the point at which you kind of need stuff like Degenerate. Actually, the dragon, which one? Because one of them you're actually meant to fight using only reflects. Which seems strange, but yeah, no, the whole parry mechanic, the reflect parry mechanic, if you end up getting hit, there's a couple of the bosses that you're meant to fight, like, only doing damage that way. It is a game of utter shenanigans. That's the best way to put it. If you're good at shenanigans. Oh, the cutscene dragon? Yeah, no, that one... you should have been able to hurt it. That stuff is all set. You basically just do around 25, and then you repeatedly run up and you just smack it in the head a bunch. Oh, I don't know how that happened. I'm gonna hit this guy a fair whack here, just for the sake of using temper a little bit. He's getting a lot of blocks. I want to say that the block rate is a little bit higher with the mod, but I could be wrong on that. Oh well, get nuked. So, do you mean the one that's got, like, all the friggin' spears sticking out of it? Like, the one that you, like, right after Sydney gets shot and he just friggin' craps out a dragon from the sky? That one? Yes. Alright. Yes. Gimme. Alright, now it's time for this thing to become ridiculous. Think so, yeah. But yeah, if it's the one with a friggin' spear sticking out of its eyeball, then it's that one. Oh, that thing's metal looking. Alright, there we are. I'm gonna keep the other two on hand. Again, I should mention... I will mention what I know. I'll share what I know, but I'm no expert at this. Like, I casually love the ever-loving crap out of this game, and I always love doing mods and everything else. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm good at it. Alright, this thing... Can I degenerate him? I don't think I can. He probably doesn't have equipment. Degenerate. Hated this. I love the risk system. So the way that it's meant to work is... Well, I guess a little bit... hard to explain. So pretty much the more that you do, the more that you attack, obviously the more risk you end up building up, which means the more potential you have to do really good things. So the way it's supposed to work is that you do some crazy combo or whatever else, and then, you know, you put yourself in a position where you're gonna potentially get one-shotted by the next thing that hits you. But at the same time, you kind of just go and you have the potential for completely sweeping something right at that very second. So it's meant to be this never-ending risk-reward type situation. Oh, also, I should probably mention... I think I should probably set this up real quick here. So under options... where is it? Somewhere there's an option to basically just set all of these on a quick bar so you don't have to repeatedly go through menus. Oh man. The YouTube's blocking your comment. Like, oh, no cussing on my watch, it'll piss off Mickey Mouse. Oh hey there, Mr. Skellybones. I hid from it. I love that everything's got physicality here. Alright. That one, let's do this one, and goodbye. Yeah, there actually is a... If you hit L2, there's actually a quick bar right here. They got this right here. And I was looking for the option to put it on there, but... Yeah, it turns out I'm just an idiot. It's just right there. Okay, so Ghost go down. But then again, at the same time, it's one of those things where, for example, there was a quick select in the SNES version of Tactics Ogre. Did like 4 runs of that thing before even realizing that was a thing. Alright. What I was doing there wasn't necessarily to try and cause damage, I was actually just trying to get an instill off. Okay. Go. Give me that instill. Ghost. There we go. You see I was doing 0 before? Now he used instill, now he does 18. There's affinity for you. Now he's gonna do a heal. Or, now he won't, because that thing's already gone. Got a Targe. Got a helmet. Throw this away. Probably have thrown away some equipment, but whatever. That and that. Potentially do this. Just slightly. It's actually just left on the stick if you're playing on a PSP. Okay. And actually, I'm out of everything except for poking ability. So, like, look at that. Just a few instills, and he's already completely rocking this stuff. So pretty much what you do, if you want to have an easy time of it, anytime that you find a new enemy type that you can't hurt, you just do instills a whole bunch. Which doesn't do very much damage, but it makes you a lot better at fighting that particular thing. And then you're gonna have a good time. I'm getting start like an idiot. But okay, so I go to my poke stick here, and as you can see, it's now up to 115. So every time that it's used, that PP bar depletes, and it gets a little bit weaker. But now it's in its strongest state, pretty much. People say that the starting swords are really good. It can be. Quite frankly, everything can be. It really just all depends what you do with it. I would do puzzle here. There's a box. What is the point of the box? There's something to be reached somewhere. There, nothing there. Thing to be reached? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think there's anything up there. I think this was just a fighting room. Unless there's a chest that I missed someplace. No. Looks like it was just a trap room. Random monster closet. Alright. I mean, it might be. I don't know for 100%. I mean, technically speaking, it seems like anything can potentially be built into something amazing. If I recall correctly, it's classed as a knightly weapon, so it should be really good. Alright. Actually, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I don't friggin' know. But this dude can make stuff, and it's great. I've literally never played a caster character, and this time it's just working out perfectly. Gonna do that? No. Let's continue nukage. Yeah, the map system is really good for this. The way that they did the graphics is really good for this era. The way they did the music, like, listen to the music. Like, all the footsteps, all the ambient noises, all of the everything is just so much better than it has any right to be. Get rid of this leather garbage. You know, in before somebody comes in and tells me that it's the same old Monster Hunter rules. It's like, no, the leather stuff is actually really good. You should have stuck to it all game. Like, I don't know. Why would I wear the leather if I'm going to fight a frickin' Godzilla monster? By the way, if anyone's here that was actually interested in that Monster Hunter run from a billion years ago, yeah, that's not continuing. Mostly just because legal reasons. They went and they sent a bunch of threatening emails like, oh, Capcom's angry, don't do it. Which is weird because I see a bunch of stuff about it all the time, and I kind of wonder if they get those same emails and just ignore them or something, but honestly, I don't care enough to contest that, so whatever. Yeah, it's, you know, it's really impressive what they pulled off with the technology here. Like, even though everything's, like, pixelated and everything else, it's, like, it looks legit, is the thing. Like, they pulled off little details all over everything. This kind of art style, if it came back, I would absolutely love it. Let's see. Okay, we got Ruination. If you've played Tactics Ogre before, you might recognize Ruination. It looks nothing like that one. At all. Not even remotely similar. The Ruination in TO was like, you spun your spear around, it had a one-tile range, and it was just a damage scaling move that hit with like 12 spears at once, and it looked cool, but it didn't do very much. And then One Vision came out, and they're like, no, it's actually really good now, and it silences. And that was very useful. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna say like 10 more minutes, and then I'm gonna have to go here. Because I gotta go do stuff. You look like a boss. You look like a boss that has to be fought with counters. Oh, this guy's cool looking. Friggin' Vector Man looking a-hole. Mr. Golem. Yeah, this works out pretty well. How much does poking you with a poke stick do? That's actually pretty acceptable. If you wanted to, you could completely kill all bosses this way. It's just your miss rate keeps going higher and higher and higher, and you keep gaining more and more risk every time that happens. That right leg is weirdly exposed. Get ruinated. What is my defense move? Well, I'm dead. Just broke friggin' arm. Alright. First off, this time I actually have some MP for the fight. Second off, regenerate. Also, yeah, I didn't feel like restarting from any previous save spot. That's why I'm just save stating with every room. I figured it was a good way to keep the testing ongoing. Didn't have to take any major steps back. Where's that dodge move in game? Somebody tell me. Force Rise you first of all. Force Rise. Hold down L2 to nuke. Warlock. That's not terribly impressive, actually. There's a little bit of lag going on just because of some effect or other. Go ahead and go to chain abilities. Chain abilities. Doubt either of these will be low. Defense abilities, and which one is my impact guard? That's the one I want to use here. Yeah, I think I just want to spear him. Way to fail. I feel like that should have been a perfect. I don't know why it wasn't. So there's one thing that's not terribly well explained, but some of the bosses are just extremely resistant to combos. So somewhere there's a combo resistance stat. Like for example, if you've played the original, the most memorable example I can think of is that kind of samurai looking guy, a little bit past the lich. I'm absolutely dead here. Or not. Okay, that's 94 risk. Chalk that under, should be dead right now. Where's my full heal? I had one, I no longer have one. But... yeah, if you ever wanted to have all of the, like, perfect timings and everything else, for the menu and everything else, you just hold down L2 if you have an immediate thing that you need to do, and you will do it. Oh, too fast. It's a handy little thing. When continuing that combo, that'll just do zeros. In that case, I wasn't even meaning to guard. It was just kind of an accident. Alright, whatever. Spam items. Cheat to victory. No, I'm loving how low key this this mod is so far. So, you may have noticed all the changes have been really subtle, like a new enemy here and there, you know, slight changes to the cost of certain abilities. Good. No problem with that. One hit. I guess we need an item. Item, we're gonna need another heal, just in case he does that insta-kill move. Okay, what are the odds they're making a new armor core? So they guaranteed, well, they didn't guarantee that they would, but they did mention that they were working on something related to AC. Basically, they said they specifically said, like, we have an armor core thing coming, we just don't have anything to show you yet. But at the same time, the old gen team, like the producers of the old gen games, ended up going and working on a Dame Next Machina. I don't know if you've seen all of the stuff everywhere about that. It's like a Switch game that kind of looks like old gen AC mixed with the giant bosses from 4 Answer. Something like that. So we'll see how that pans out. Apparently it's supposed to be pretty friggin' cool looking. And kind of hopeful for that one. Like one of those things where everyone that I knew of that liked AC was like, if this thing pans out, I'm buying a friggin' Switch. And it honestly would be just like From to do that kind of thing. Although that being said, From isn't even the one making it. It's just, I think it was Activision. Somebody. No, no, From was partnering with Activision for a different thing. I gotta remember to get that Drain MP thing. Okay, I'm trying to focus on the combo here. Okay, there's that big scary punch move. That's fine. At least this is survivable, so it should have been mentioned that earlier on there was a boss that basically just did like a multi-hit punch, which was a little bit more difficult to deal with. Yeah, AC3 and HD Soundline remaster with more parts. Amen. That's exactly what I want. Also, in that case, I was actually trying to move the thing, get closer, and attack, but it didn't quite happen. Also, I can't help but notice that this guy's moveset is very similar to the golems in Tactics Ogre. Like, names and everything. Almost like they reference each other a bunch or something. Also, yeah, I better get finished off soon, because kinda gotta get going here. There we go, 76. This should be amazing. That it? Alright. There's another ruination. This thing takes a crap ton of health to use. I'm basically hitting myself as hard as I am him. That's puts strength down too, by the way. Alright. Lots of dying, almost guaranteed. Although if that ends up happening, what I'll probably end up doing is just saving this guy for next time. Although really, I'm surprised he's still standing. Thanks. Ah, crap. Come on, focus. I need to get a full heal out of this. No idea what's going on with that lag. Again, that's just some effect. You degenerate. We'll do that, and then need to do another healing item. Left. There we go, that did him. Good friggin' bye. That's fun. I like that the break arts were actually useful now. Alright, that's my score. Still normal. What kind of crap do these guys have to deal with on a regular basis if this is still normal? Get some health at least. It's not an MP boost for once. Let's see. Yeah. Yes! Okay, so we got Prostasia. Got a few agility and some healing items. Good. I'm gonna do either this one or this one, but probably this one. Alright, do we get a cutscene now? I think this is the one that I was talking... No. Okay, no, it's this one. There's one cutscene in particular that I absolutely adore. Because it's just Harden freaking out, like, look, he friggin' punched out a golem. We've got problems. Like, we should just leave. We cannot fight this guy. Alright, anyway. So, thank you for showing up. Gonna save state it right there, and, yeah. See you next time. Hopefully it'll be pretty soon here. Probably gonna be a relatively longish one tomorrow, too. We'll see if work intervenes with that, or interferes. But, we'll see how it goes. So, see you then. Have a good one. Talk to you later.